Welcome to the part of the sew along where we are now sewing our interface fabrics together into 4 pieces into one. What you will see in this video is that I haven't made any of the pattern markings. You'll see on the pattern template there's a marking at the top, which is your start point. I used to be able to eyeball this. It seems I can't eyeball them anymore. I used to sew a lot of these. I don't sew as many of them now. So you'll see during this video I do is add the marking. That just helps your start point. So you kind of want to start right on that dot, like just to the left or the right of it if you're sewing left or right-handed. I'm a lefty. So that would create, you want to create a tiny small space at the top of those quarters, and that's where you'll put your stem through. If you ever, once you've turned your apple out, open it out and have a look at the stem hole and then try and put a stem in to test and it's really floppy, you've got a lot of space, then just turn the apple back inside out and just go across some of the seams and take them up a little bit higher and do a back stitch so that you can close that gap up a little bit. Sometimes you have to do that. So see, I've got a bigger gap there, so I'm going to go over it now and fix it, and my seams are slightly off, so I'm just going to fix that right now. Actually, yeah, and I'm going to mark it right here. See, there you go. Like I said, I used to be able to eyeball it, but not anymore. So basically you want a stitch length of between 2.5, really short. So that means that your stitches will hold up when you're stuffing the heck out of the apple, and if you, once it's really firm and tight. I've never had an apple split. So I'm just fixing the seam that I wasn't happy with there. I just added some more stitching in a bare spot. And there's a third piece added. So then we're going to add the fourth piece. What you want to make sure with all these quarters is that you do a back stitching at the start, at the end of each seam, because sometimes we might have to cut a slightly bigger hole in for the stem. So give yourself about 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch of back stitching. 1/4 inch is probably fine at the top at least, so that if you do have to cut into it, the shortest stitch lengths will hold that piece together. I've made hundreds of these apples over many years, and I've only ever once had to maybe add a little bit of glue to keep a stem in. So just test that hole before you start stuffing it. Put a stem in there and see that the knot goes through okay. If it goes in super easy and it's going to pop out, then I would close up that hole a little bit more. So go back and adjust that seam. That's just a little tip. And look, if you do have to slightly wiggle open the seam and break a couple of stitches, that's okay because our stitch length is small. Okay, so we've sewn 4 quarters together. And as you're sewing each one, yeah, you want to, as you can see me doing, you want to keep them, pin them so they all line up each quarter. And I'm not using pins here. Sometimes I use pins. You'll see in the next one when I'm showing you me stitching a EPP apple together, I definitely stitch those together because the pieces are much more rigid and there's more chance for movement. But with these pieces, there's not as much chance. So pin as much as you like. I just prefer to pin less than more. And you'll see me here trying to find the hole. And I don't know if I get a pencil out or a pen out and mark the hole, but maybe I just wing it. I tend to be a bit of a winger of my own patterns, which is not helpful always to teaching people how to use it. So if there's any questions you have, please put them below or send me an email. And you'll have my email from the sew-alongs emails, or visit craftapalooza.com and you'll be able to contact me via that. Happy to answer any questions. So I'm sewing up to this part. You can see down the bottom my pieces don't line up. I'm going to stop, my needle's down, put your needle down and just realign the pieces. So just do that as you go. Take your time. You can slow down if your machine allows for it. Slow down your sewing speed. Take your time with this. And back stitch at the end. I didn't show you my back stitching. I did a very small back stitch there. Now we want to turn the piece right side out. Oh, I'm not happy with one of those. That's right. One of them I think I've come down too low because I didn't do the pattern marking. See, I didn't follow my own pattern. So the pattern shows you how far to stitch down. This one I think is a little bit too low. So I'm going to unpick a little bit and restitch that section. Again, as I'm restitching a section, I will do a back stitch to make sure I've reinforced the seam, especially if I've seam ripped there. And come back down, yep, and back stitch again. It literally was like 1/4 inch too far down, but I wanted to fix it. I'm going to turn the apple the right side out, and I'm going to check my stem hole. So I'm just going to put in pokey poke. There we go. All good there. Doesn't look too big. Okay, now, excuse me, I'm going to show you sewing 4 quarters together that are all EPP, and I have never done one with all EPP. The biggest, the one I've done the most was 3. I found this really thick to sew through, and I don't remember doing this last time, so I must have, I just don't remember. So I did give these a really good press again after I'd cut them out, so do that, give them a good hot press, and then again sew them into sew the quarters together into one piece. Take your time with this. I did find there was a little bit of bouncing. That could be my machine. My machine's 15 years old now. I am due a new machine at some point. So yeah, just take your time with the seam because of all the, sewing these seams because of all the EPP joins and all the EPP seams. You'll find there's a little bit of bumpiness. So take your time. Don't sew as fast as I'm sewing here. And I had to correct a couple of seams, which was fine. I just straightened them out and redid them. So take your time with this and stitch away. I am going to speed up this part a little bit, because you've seen this happen before, but I just wanted to show you me sewing one together and turning it right side out. And look, you'll find sometimes my seams are inconsistent because you do eyeball. I don't sew a definite 1/4 inch, and I'm okay with that. My apples always turn out looking fabulous. So, try to be as consistent as possible with your seam allowances, but you'll see some of mine are a bit different each time, and they still turn out. So yeah, that's just a little tip. Don't be too stressed about it. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this little EPP apple inside out. You can see it's quite stiff, but that's okay. I've reinforced my seams at the start and finish, so I just got to turn it right side out, and then we will get to stuffing it. So it's actually come out really, really cute. It's very adorable. So I quite like sewing the hexagon panels for the apples. It's super fun. So the next video you can go watch is all about finishing the apples, stuffing, adding buttons, the felt leaves, and the stem. So go watch that one.